What do you mean Valentine's Day is coming up? I had no idea. Hello everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Welcome back to my channel for another killer video. This week we're celebrating Valentine's Day. I wanted to do something really fun, like a fun little treat for Valentine's Day, because 'tis the season, am I right? But I did not want to do dessert for two. I wanted to do something fun and something that I haven't done on this channel. And I landed on donuts. I landed on heart-shaped donuts because I saw a picture on Pinterest and I was like, I have to make those. As you'll notice, there are no ingredients in front of me because this video is gonna be laid out a little differently. There's a lot of like stove work and like mixer work and stuff, and my mixer is so loud that I think it'll just be easier if we go back to kind of what I had been doing last year and do more voiceover stuff. So we'll make all the components over there and then we'll come back over here later on once I have everything done and we can do the assembly together and eat together. So today, I haven't even told you what we're making actually. We're making red velvet donuts with cream cheese frosting. So it's gonna be a brioche donut. We've made brioche on the channel before. I know you remember how to make it, but we're doing it again. Because this time it's not pumpkin brioche. It's getting filled with a red velvet pastry cream and topped with cream cheese frosting, because who does not love that combo? And it's very iconic for Valentine's Day. I did think about filling it with like a jam filling, and if you don't want to make the pastry cream, I would absolutely recommend filling it with like a jam filling. I just kind of wanted to be able to teach you guys something else, so we're doing the pastry cream today. I tried my hand at developing a red velvet pastry cream recipe, and for those of you who don't know, red velvet cake is like a red cake that normally has a little bit of cocoa in it. It rounds out the flavor, but it also makes the cake a little bit darker to take on like the red color a little bit easier, so it's not like pink. And there's also usually some kind of like tang in it, like a vinegar or buttermilk or something like that is usually in red velvet cake, and then it usually has a cream cheese frosting. So it's kind of like, how am I going to transfer that to a pastry cream? Cocoa, easy, check. We can put cocoa in pastry cream. Vinegar, preferably not. So we're using buttermilk in our pastry cream today to give us that kind of like tang, you know, and I think it's gonna be delicious. Yeah, if you guys want to make really cute, fun, heart-shaped brioche donuts, then keep on watching. I'm gonna pass you guys on over to voiceover Amanda, and she will take it from here and explain how to make red velvet donuts. Alright guys, so we're going to start with the pastry cream to give that some time to chill. In one bowl I have my vanilla and my softened butter already scaled out and ready to go. This is going to be extremely useful later on because everything moves kind of fast. In here I've got my egg yolks, my egg, sugar, cornstarch, salt, and cocoa powder. So we're just going to give that a nice little whisk and make sure everything is fully combined. Meanwhile, on the stovetop in a medium saucepan over medium heat, I have whole milk and buttermilk heating up just until it begins to steam. And once the milk mixture just begins to steam, we're going to temper it into the egg mixture. So you'll see that I'm whisking the entire time. This is to keep the eggs moving and so that the heat disperses quickly enough so that we don't just cook the eggs when we add everything. So I'm whisking, and then we're going to pour the entire mixture back into the pot while whisking constantly. We're going to bring this back over to the saucepan, and I'm just going to do really gentle figure eight kind of movements here to keep the mixture moving and to keep the heat circulating so that it doesn't just cook in one spot and the eggs and the buttermilk don't kind of curdle and separate. But we're going to try to bring this to a boil now. So as soon as it comes to a boil is when the clock starts. You want to boil your mixture for at least 2 to 3 minutes. This is going to activate the cornstarch as well as cook the cornstarch flavor out. By the time the 2 to 3 minutes is over, you will have a really nice, thick, creamy mixture. And then, like I said, things move fast, so being prepared is super key. We're moving straight over to the butter and vanilla, and we're gonna strain our pastry cream over it. If you tempered your mixture correctly, you shouldn't have any egg pieces left in the strainer, but especially if you're a beginner or if you're just not sure if you tempered correctly, this is gonna get any solids or any egg pieces out of your pastry cream. So I'm just pressing it through the fine mesh sieve over the butter and vanilla. I only have a few little egg pieces on the bottom, so I'll call that a successful temper, I guess. And as you'll notice, the heat is pretty much melting the butter. It was softened already, so it doesn't take very much, but I'm stirring rapidly to get the vanilla and the butter mixed in completely so that it's one smooth mixture. And you can stop here if you're just doing regular pastry cream, but because this is red velvet, I'm adding some coloring. I will say, invest in some really good liquid gel food coloring. I used regular liquid food coloring here, and you'll notice that I kind of got mostly just like a pink color. But then I remembered that I had this brand of food coloring that I really like. It's what I used to use in bakeries. This is the Chef Master liquid gel food coloring. There's also like Americolor and stuff that's really good. And just adding like a couple of drops of this made it go from like a weird mauvey pink color to like actually being red, which was nice, you know, for red velvet. Once you're done, you are going to cover it in plastic wrap so that the plastic wrap is touching the surface of the pastry cream. It feels wrong, but do it, because this is going to prevent that weird little skin from forming on top as it cools. So we're gonna put it straight into the refrigerator to chill, and once it has chilled, it'll be set up and thick and creamy and really delicious finished pastry cream. And then we're gonna move on to our brioche dough. So here I have some warm milk. You want it to be between like 100 and 110 degrees. A little bit of sugar and my active dry yeast. Active dry yeast does need to be activated first. I find for doughs that have a really long mixing time, active dry is really nice because it kind of gets the yeast going and you don't have to worry about keeping the dough warm or anything like that. So after like 10 minutes, my yeast puffed up and rose and got bubbly and stuff. She's happy, she's fed, she's active, and the yeast is ready to use in the dough. So in the bowl of a stand mixer, we're gonna mix almost all of our flour, salt, and the rest of our sugar. And to that, we're gonna add the milk mixture, our vanilla, and our eggs. The eggs and the butter, everything should be room temperature. It's gonna ensure that everything mixes in properly. And we're gonna mix that on a low speed just until everything starts to come together and starts to form kind of like this shaggy dough. And while the mixture is running, once everything comes together, we're gonna add the rest of our all-purpose flour. Separating it like this makes sure that all the ingredients get mixed in properly, but you're not developing too much gluten right off the bat. So that's kind of why we have everything split up and we don't add all the flour at the beginning. But now we're gonna add the rest of our flour. So once all the flour is added, it still could look like a really wet dough, and that's totally fine. We're gonna go ahead and switch to our dough hook now and work on really developing that gluten. It shouldn't take too much extra flour. You shouldn't have to. If you follow the mixing times in the recipe, it should come together. But if you feel like nothing's happening and you really feel like it's way too sticky, you can go ahead and add up to 1/4 cup of flour. I wouldn't add any more than that, but just a tablespoon at a time, just until the dough starts coming together on itself and pulling away from the edges of the bowl. Your dough still will be tacky. It just shouldn't be like a sticky mess, if that makes sense. But because this is such an enriched dough and there's a lot of fat in it, it will take kind of a long mix for it to come together and for the gluten to properly form. This has 1/2 cup of butter, so it's kind of a lot, and it's all room temperature. You want to add it 1 tablespoon at a time, and wait until the butter that you've added is fully incorporated before you add any more. But adding the butter will take kind of a while, especially with 1/2 cup. It should take, again, like another 10 minutes or so to add everything. And once all of your butter is added, go ahead and mix it for another 3 to 4 minutes afterwards, just to make sure that everything is completely incorporated, pinching off again, just to make sure that we're passing window pane. This dough is just super, super soft. I can stretch this dough really, really thin and get pretty much no tearing on the ends. You can almost see through it, and that's how you know that the gluten is properly developed. So that's what we're looking for. And now once our butter is all added, I have a bowl here that's sprayed with just some cooking spray and my dough shaped into a nice round, and we're gonna give her a rest in a warm area. You want your area to be at least 70 to 75 degrees, and we're gonna let her rest until double in size, 45 minutes to an hour. And after that time has elapsed, I am just gonna punch down the dough to kind of reintroduce the yeast to new food is essentially what's happening, and kind of flatten it out. And I'm gonna reshape it into a round and refrigerate it. Brioche benefits a lot from a really nice cold overnight proof, and it's also a lot easier to work with cold brioche dough because there's so much butter in it. If it gets warm at all, it's just so soft and sometimes can be really hard to work with, and it's going to be refrigerated at least overnight. So the next morning I am rolling my dough out to roughly a 1/2 inch thickness. And then I'm using my cutter. This is a heart-shaped cutter, but you can use whatever you want. If it's not Valentine's Day anymore when you're watching this, use whatever you have. Use round ones. You can just cut circles out. I don't really care what you do. But this is like a 2.5, 3-inch heart-shaped cutter, and I am just punching little hearts out and transferring them to the parchment-lined baking sheet that I have next to me. You can absolutely re-roll, reuse your scraps. I would just pile everything together and give it a really, really light knead, and then re-roll it to that 1/2 inch thickness. And then I'm gonna punch a little ugly one, you know, for snackies. And one of them has to get fried first to check the temperature of the oil. So use up all the dough, no waste over here. So then we're going to cover our donuts in plastic wrap and let them rise in a warm, draft-free place yet again. So for 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, just until they're puffed. So it'll take about 30 minutes for that to happen. So I've got my donuts, I've got a Dutch oven, look at me, so cute. And I have a cooling rack with some paper towel on top of it so that when I pull the donuts out, I can put them on the paper towel and let them drain. You'll see me checking the temperature a lot. You're going for about 2 inches of oil, going from 350 to 360 degrees. You don't want to go anything higher than that because then you'll just cook the outside and the inside will be raw. And if you go any lower than that, the donut will just absorb oil rather than cooking, and you'll have something really heavy and greasy. So go ahead and gently lay the donuts into the oil. This will minimize splashing and make it so that they don't just sink to the bottom straight away. And you're going to want to fry them until they are golden brown on each side. So it's about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. You should only flip them once. You don't want to be flipping them back and forth constantly. So it might take a second for you to get the hang of it, but just kind of keep an eye on them and make sure that you're not just kind of tossing them around in oil. Look at that golden color. So delicious. I already made these and I miss them. I wish I had them. The temperature drops when you add donuts, so here I am checking the temperature again and making sure that everything is good and adjusting as needed. And then I'm just removing them from the oil and setting them on that parchment-lined wire rack so that they can drain any excess oil off and cool enough for me to handle them to fill them. And once you make your way through all of the donuts and everything is sitting and cooled, we're gonna go ahead and make the cream cheese frosting. So I'm just adding cream cheese and butter to my stand mixer. You can use a stand mixer or a hand mixer because this is quite a small batch. So I'm beating that on a medium speed just until everything is combined. Then you add your salt and vanilla, both very important flavorings in any frosting, and your powdered sugar, and you just beat on a medium speed until fully combined and everything is fluffy. And now that our components are all made and we're ready to assemble, I am gonna see you guys back in the kitchen so that we can decorate these. and chow down. Okay, so after all of that hard work, we're finally at the assembly stage, which is the last stage. So we are one step away from eating these. I'm so fucking hungry. I have the donuts here. I have my cream cheese frosting, icing, whatever here. I have my red velvet pastry cream in the bag here because this is how we're gonna fill them. These insane tongs, tweezers. They're like food styling tweezers, kind of. You saw me frying with them. I don't want to talk about it. An offset spatula, the goods, and then also I don't have Valentine's Day sprinkles, which feels like a personal failure, but I do have Christmas sprinkles, which I'm obviously going to use the red ones from, and these like gold teal pink ones that I feel like might be fun also. So there's a couple different ways you can fill them. I don't have a piping tip on here, so what we're going to do is we're going to poke into the donut and make like a preliminary hole. That's what this is for. You can use a knife for this if you want, if that works, whatever works best for you. And then I'm just gonna fill. I'm just gonna keep squeezing until the donut feels kind of heavy and it starts coming out on the end. Pretty easy. So I'm gonna keep filling these. We have some of these, I'm not gonna lie, are a little prettier than the other ones, but that's okay. They're all gonna get filled because there is no donut too ugly for pastry cream. Just saying. I have the exact correct amount of pastry cream here. It is really, truly not often that happens, so poor little ugly baby. All right, and now for the last step. What else would I put on the red velvet donut if not cream cheese frosting? I made kind of like a thick icing to go on top here instead of like a glaze for no reason other than I just simply wanted to. I really like the look of it, and I also really like, you know, I like a nice thick cream cheese frosting. Also, don't be stingy with the frosting. I'm giving you a lot of frosting. Use all of it. I don't think that anybody is mad with extra cream cheese frosting. And while you're doing this, while you're frosting, take this time to think about all of the people that you love this Valentine's Day, even if you don't have a partner. Because as corny as it sounds, Valentine's Day is for everybody. You don't have to have a partner. It can be for your friends, your family, your dogs, equally importantly, yourself. So if you're making these heart donuts for yourself, reflect on all the things that you love about yourself. And if you can't think of anything right now, that's okay. And at the very least, you can be proud of yourself that you made it this far. You know, I'm proud of you. You didn't see that. Can I pick out the pink ones? We gonna find out. I don't want the teal ones. I just want the pink and the white ones. And maybe the gold. I also like this flavor because you can top them with pretty much anything. If you want to do like a vanilla glaze, that would work. You can dye that pink. That'd be so cute. If you want to do like a dark chocolate glaze, like red velvet and chocolate, that would be delicious. You know, as with most things that I make here, there's room for, you know, your own spin, whatever you want to do. Grown officially tired of picking out sprinkles. That'll do. It has been a very long day of baking, but we're done. Oh my gosh, we made donuts. Look at them. I mean, you saw them already, I'm sure, but still, like, look at us. Obviously now I have to eat one, so. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's so cute. With the red velvet inside. Oh. I like need a minute. I need a glass of milk. That's so good, dude. The donuts are so fluffy and taste so good because they're brioche. And brioche is incredible. And that pastry cream has like a little bit of tartness from the buttermilk that goes so well with the cream cheese. It's up to you to make these for yourself and find some people to share them with. Or don't. That is up to you. Thank you guys so much for joining me in the kitchen today to make these donuts. I think they're a little underappreciated, to be honest, because a lot of times they can be like just sugar on sugar on sugar. But like you can get really fun with like the fillings and the toppings and do some really, really cool stuff so that it's not just like sugar on sugar. You can actually get like flavors and textures and like really cool combinations in donuts. And I think they get a bad rap. If you've ever, you know, wanted to try making donuts, I really, really hope that this kind of like shows you that it's super, super easy to do. It is kind of a labor of love, as is the case with a lot of baking. What I would personally do, because the brioche has like a preferred overnight proof, if you make all the components the night before and then have your pastry cream in the fridge, have your frosting in the fridge, have your brioche proofing in the fridge, the next morning, bright and early, fry them up and fill them. And that's all you gotta do, and then you have donuts for breakfast. I'm just saying. Do whatever you want, but I'm just saying. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys take inspiration from this and try them out for yourself. Let me know how it goes if you do. As always, all my social media links and everything are in the description below. The entire method of prep and full ingredients list for this recipe will be on my website, which you can also find in the description below. I will say I used to hate Valentine's Day. But then I decided that I liked heart-shaped things. So, because like I said before, Valentine's Day is not just for romantic love. It can be platonic love. It can be familial love. It can be self-love. Love is love. Am I right? I hope you guys are doing well, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday. If there's anything that you guys want to see me do on the channel or anything you want to see me make, let me know in the comments down below. I have a laundry list of things that I want to make for you guys, but I'm always open to suggestions, so please drop a line. And with that, I will catch you guys again in my next video. Bye!